Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. My name is Jesse Stife. I am the president of the Reading League Florida. We are very excited to bring you tonight's session, Tools for Effective K-5 Literacy Instruction. I have just a couple of short announcements before we get into the content of tonight's webinar. So I want to encourage everyone to keep up with the Reading League Florida on our various websites. The main way that we communicate with folks is through social media. And you can find us on Facebook at the Reading League Florida or at TRLFL. And you can find us on Twitter at the Reading League Florida as well. So we're always disseminating high quality resources that are directly applicable for teachers and other stakeholders. So please follow us on Facebook if you're so inclined. Follow us on Twitter if you're so inclined. You can also find us at our main website, which is fl.thereadingleague.org. While you're on our pages, I encourage everyone to consider joining us as members or making a donation. Your membership helps us kind of keep the lights on and keep the free, high-quality PD coming. We are an all-volunteer 501c3 organization, and so this is only a labor of love that we do for free. And every penny from membership and donations goes right back into the organization for things like insurance and other logistics. Our aim is to keep all of our content free, publicly available, since we never want money to be a barrier to professional development. And so for tonight's webinar, we've opened up the Q&A function, and we welcome our live participants to ask questions during the presentation. Our presenters will take some questions at the end. And just please remember to use the Q&A only to ask questions and not to make general comments, since it makes it a bit more difficult for us to work through all those entries. All right, and so let's kick it off. It is my pleasure to kick it over to Dr. Jenny Gans of the Florida Center for Reading Research and Dr. Julie Baston of FSU's College of Education. Thank you so much, and take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Jesse, for that warm welcome. And my colleague Julie and I are super excited to be here with you all tonight, sharing some of the wonderful tools that we have created here over at the Florida Center for Reading Research. We are going to talk about things that are specific to the state of Florida and lots of things that are not specific to the state of Florida. So there's plenty to see, and we will show you everything. We will spend just a few minutes going through a slide deck to show you some things that we will see, but we are going to spend most of our time actually on the website, and we're going to do like a web walk. So I will walk you through all the different fun spaces on our website so you can know where to find these materials, how to access them, how to use them, and other really great resources that we have well above what's in this PowerPoint. The PowerPoint only shows just a small snippet of the things that we have. So if that's okay with you, I'll go ahead and share my screen. And let me do this and this. Okay, just confirmation that you can see my large screen says Tools for Effective K-5 Literacy Instruction.
Not quite. Nope.
No?
Can't see. Nope.
Okay. Let's try that again. Did it share or did it not share? Let's see.
It did not. Oh, here we go. Now
okay, so
now
let's see. All right, how about now?
Perfect.
Okay, Tools for Effective K-5 Literacy Instruction is what you should see then, correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay, awesome. Well, again, we are going to share some great things with you, and let us talk a little bit about what you can find here. So again, some of our resources that we're going to share with you this evening are aligned to Florida's best K-5 ELA standards. We have designed a whole suite of resources to facilitate and enhance the literacy instruction that are aligned, but just about everything that we have can also be used in any other state or places all around the world. So we are going to look at some of our student center activities, our teacher resource guide, which goes along with our student center activities, all about reading centers, which is just a fabulous section of our website. It's almost like a mini college course on setting up reading centers. Our Essentials for Reading Success, which is a new website, or a new portion of our website that really does a deep dive into content instruction, and lots of additional resources. So again, like we've already talked about, we're going to learn to become familiar with where to find these resources, how to access them, how to utilize them, and we will do that in our web walk. So if you see something in the PowerPoint, I promise you I will show you where to find it in real time. So also please remember that the FCRR website is frequently changing. We are frequently adding new materials, we revamp, we update, we try to make things as user-friendly as possible. So even a month from now, if you click on something that might look a little bit different, it's because we always have the user in mind and we want to make sure that things are as friendly as we can. So if you see something and you just aren't sure where to find it, or you aren't sure if it's still there, you can always reach out to us. Our contact information is on the website as well. So, all right, most of everything we're going to look at today comes from this bottom bar that you see on the screen. You should see a screen that says FCRR for educators. And there's a top bar and a bottom bar with a circle on it. And it says for educators, for families, for leaders. And next to that, you see a little blank space and some yellow on the side says coming soon for communities. So like I said, this is a living, breathing, working website, and we are frequently adding and changing to it. So we are going to focus on things that we find tonight in the for educators. At least the PowerPoint is going to touch on the for educators, but we're also going to do a walkthrough of for families and for leaders and see how they all tie in together. So this is where we're going to start. So let's look at these FCRR student center activities. So this might be not a new, and this is a reminder, not a new piece, because these student center activities have been around for over 20 years. We recently celebrated our 20th anniversary this last year at the Florida Center for Reading Research, and these center activities have been used throughout the duration. So what we did do in the last couple of years is we went into over 350 activities and we updated them to a little bit more pictures that might be a little more friendly to what kids might see today, like they maybe don't see overhead projectors as much, but document cameras. So those types of technology changes, a little bit of wording here and there that may have been changed, and updated tweaks around our activities. But overall, the activities have remained largely the same. So if you have activities that you are using already in your classrooms anywhere in the United States or around the world, please continue to do so. If you want to make new stuff, that's great too. And you may remember in time, we used to have those big, at least in the state of Florida, we had big white binders for different schools, and they had all the activities in them, and they went along with some Blackline Masters and Activity Masters, and there was a teacher resource guide. All of these were separate. But now you'll find that everything is online, everything is fully digital, and all you have to do is click, print, or download to your computer and print at your leisure, and you will always have these there for you. So you no longer need to go find those older books. But certainly if you have them and you love them, we encourage you to continue to use them. So just a few notes about this screen. You'll notice in the icons on top of the student center activities, you will see in the left-hand corner of the picture, two little people. That's just a reminder to let you know, if you're picking an activity, that is an activity that can be done with more than one student. If you only see one little person, it's really meant to be an individual activity. Certainly, there are extensions and adaptations that you can do that can vary it slightly, but overall, this would be the gist, would be that this is a group activity. You'll also notice the color coding at the top. You'll see vocabulary is green. So that is for all grade levels. K-5 vocabulary will be green. You'll also notice at the top underneath the two little people where it says V.009. Well, our activities go from simple to complex. So the lower the number, the easier the skill, or the more simple the skill for the students to master. As it gets higher, like V040, that is a much higher level skill that the students would be working on. So that's just a little tidbit of information that you may not have known. And if you don't, I hope you did learn something there. Every activity will have an objective, as you see on the screen. In this case, the students will identify meaning of compound words. You will see morphemic elements is the title, and there's an activity and materials and everything you will need. And I will show you examples of this also on our website and how everything is now digital. So, all right. Again, this is another picture of what the activities look like. Also, as a reminder, our student center activities are meant to be used anywhere with any curriculum at any time. These are supplemental materials. They work with any curriculum you may be using. They are standalone, and they are not intended to go with any particular other lesson or activity. These are for you to pair and put in your reading centers as you see fit. So that just a little, talk about that. Okay, so you'll also notice that in this activity, this is a 040, P040. So this is a much harder skill in phonics than P002. So again, and these are designed for teachers to use when implementing student centers, and they are to be used with systematic and explicit instruction. Children need to be taught explicitly how to use our activities when you're putting them into centers, and that way we can, they learn how to properly use them. And I will go to my next screen. All right. So if you live in the state of Florida, you will notice that we have also aligned the majority of our activities to the best ELA standards. Certainly not every activity can be aligned. They are designed to be standards agnostic, so anyone around the world can use these activities. But as we are in the state of Florida and we do partner frequently with our folks around the state, this is a great tool. It is a filtering tool. So you are able to literally look up the standard, and any activity that we have that's been aligned to that standard is there for you to also click and print. Certainly, if you don't see a standard if you don't see an activity listed as an aligned to the standard, that doesn't mean you can't use it. It just means there wasn't a direct alignment when we were looking at the objective of the activity and the standards book. So that is how we did it. Okay, so I will show you a picture here on this screen that is an example of what the filter tool looks like. This is kindergarten, and you can see the standards there, KV11 or 1V11. You'll notice this activity can go for either kindergarten or first grade because the wording in the standard and the wording on the activity matches both. So that's why sometimes you might see more than one grade level filtered in that tool. So that is just a little bit of information about our student center activities. Again, I'm going to show you them in real time, so we'll be able to go through them. Along with the student center activities, we have a hashtag at home with FCRR. So if you're not familiar with this hashtag, and again, I'll show you where to find this on the website, we highly encourage you to do so, because you will find there's well over 50 or 60 videos of lots of folks doing our student center activities in their own homes, at their dining room tables, on the living room floor, multiple kids, babysitters using them, aunties, grandmas, tutors, you name it, lots of folks. But the point is that these can be done at home as well. You don't have to be a trained educator to be the only people to touch these activities. And you'll see as we go through the website, a lot of our schools are beginning to use this at home with FCRR in a make and take fashion, or bridging the gap between home and school, that when we get our families into school, we can say, look, we're doing this activity in the classroom, you can do it at home too. So this is a YouTube channel with lots of videos, and if you didn't know it existed, then I hope you do now, and I hope you check it out. But I will again show you where to find it on our website. All right, sticking with our student center activities, the teacher resource guide has been completely digitalized. So you may remember, if you are someone who used the teacher resource guide in the past, we had one for grades K1, 2, 3, and 4, 5. But now we have one teacher resource guide. And no matter which student center activity area you click on, you will come back to the teacher resource guide. Will always be there at the bottom, like you see it in this picture. And this guide is really meant to accompany the student center activities and the best way to use them in reading centers in your classrooms. So that is what this is for. Certainly, if you just want to jump in and take a look at the teacher resource guide, we encourage you to do so because there is tons of information in there, as well as videos of folks teachers using the student center activities, but how they organize their centers, how they handle accountability or transitions. All of those things are in the teacher resource guide, and we think it's highly beneficial for anybody to take a look at it. And certainly we know that lots of folks teach reading centers. Maybe it's not something you were familiar with in your collegiate courses, or you may have become a teacher through other certifications, or it may be your first time even teaching reading or English language arts, and this is just not something you're as comfortable with. So we encourage you to use it and get familiar with some information about developing reading centers and how we put them together, and really the best practices for doing so. So in our teacher resource guide, again, you will see information about systematic and explicit instruction. All of these arrows will be opened. And once you are in there, you will see tons of examples that these are downloadable PDFs. You can click them, you can print them, you can put them in a file on your desktop, or you can put them around your classroom. These are just an example of phonological awareness tasks. So when we say onset and rhyme, what do we mean when we're talking about that? Maybe you need to explain it to a parent. Maybe you have a substitute in your classroom. Maybe it's just stuff you're not as familiar with. Any of that are great reasons to look at all of these documents. So these are, again, clickable, printable, all throughout the website. There are different examples of these types of PDFs that you can have free to you and to use at any time. And just like the student center activities, we have all of our examples broken into the 5 components again of reading instruction: the phonological awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. You will also see examples of how we vertically align our activities. So what are examples of sequence of activities that could be used from K1 into 2, 3, and then into 4, 5. So folks that are doing vertical planning or planning across the grade levels, this is a great thing to come back and look at. You can say, okay, well, this is kind of what 2 and 3 is working on, and this is what K and 1 should be working on in this task. So these are also scattered throughout. And again, like I was saying, we have information about how to set up reading centers, how to implement reading centers using the student center activities, video examples of explicit instruction and systematic instruction throughout. Examples would look like this. What are reading centers? I hope it doesn't link. I took out the hyperlink, so hopefully it won't link. But what are reading centers? Where should I place them? Center locations, center spaces, reflecting on the content of reading instruction, careful planning. All of that is in the teacher resource guide, and I will take you to that on the website so you can see it live.
Center space.
Sorry, y'all. I was hoping it would do that when I unlinked it, but it did. So again, moving right along so that we can spend plenty of time on our web walk. One of the next really big pieces of our website that we are super, super proud of is called the Essentials for Reading Success. And this website is just a plethora of information from content on in teaching reading. So again, when you go to our For Educators page, you will see the Essentials for Reading Success tab in the left-hand corner. The left-hand navigation. And that's essentially what we're going to do on our web walk, is go through the entire left-hand navigation, not just the items on our PowerPoint. And when we get into our resources at the bottom, there is where we're really going to get into the deep dive of the things that we've created for you to be able to see all of these resources in real time and how they work. Some of the resources that you can find on this website touch on features of effective instruction, evidence-based teaching practices, response to intervention and differentiated instruction, and assessment to inform instruction. So these are all sections within the Essentials for Reading Success. All of this is there, and we will touch on it. But the resources is really the piece I want to focus on for you, because that is where you're going to find many of our aligned pieces. I will show you an example right here. Again, if you are not in the state of Florida, you are still welcome to use these resources. They very well might match up to a standard that you're using in your state or your country, just might be called a little bit something different. But if you are in the state of Florida, then these will look familiar to you. What we have here and what I'll show you on the website, again, are downloadable resources to guide instruction. We have instructional routines. We have fillable, so these are PDFs that are downloadable and fillable progress records in grades K-3, aligned to the standards. I will tell you that grades 4 and 5 are forthcoming. And we also have resources, again, those clickable, printable PDFs that give you all kind of information about resources. In this case, this would be on comprehension. That's just page 1. There's many pages. This is just a screenshot. So again, I will walk you through all of this. We also have videos. So if you are looking at fluency, for example, on our website, and you look to the right side of this screen, we have 4 videos there that are from the Institute for Education Sciences. So of course, all of these are vetted and research-based and evidence-based videos and resources that are aligned, in this case, to our standards, but also to teaching fluency. So if you want to see a video about partner reading or choral reading or echo reading, these are great examples of that. And again, these can be used by reading coaches. These can be used by anybody who wants them. They're here for you in a one-stop shop, if you will, to get all of the information. All right. And lastly, we're going to look at some additional resources, and then we're going to jump right into the website so we can show you all of that and so much more. And my friend Julie is going to take over a little bit and talk about these additional resources, starting with our practice guides.
Thanks, Jenny. Yeah, so under the additional resource tab, which is under the For Educators section, you will find a plethora of what we're calling practice guides. And these are primarily from IES, which is the Institution of Educational Sciences, and they are on a variety of topics. We have them divided by topics. You can see on your left-hand side, these are the ones that are connected to reading and literacy. And we have topics for K through 12. However, if you go onto the IES website, there are practice guides for other things as well, such as dropout prevention, behavior, even math. So there are things for everybody to look at. And what these practice guides are, is they are deep dives into the research behind what works. And there's a lot of, content within these practice guides. And so they are set up in a way to be used as a PLC. They have a facilitator's guide. They have videos embedded. And so if your school is really looking, for example, how to improve foundational reading skills in K-3, this would be a great tool to work through with your teachers, or just you as an individual if you're trying to, have some professional growth or refine your craft in teaching. These are great resources for you to use. And so these are on the website, and we'll look at that tab. Here's an overview of some of the other topics, so you can see that there's things for reading coaches, there's interventions for secondary, there's writing, and like I said, there are other topics as well, such as behavior and dropout prevention and math. And so these are all available free. You can download them, everything is there. And so they are also tied into the What Works Clearinghouse. And so this just talks about exactly what the practice guides do. And so it's a summary of what the existing research is and how we've determined what are the best examples and the best practices in our classrooms that are currently working and aligned to the current research. There are actual classroom demonstrations and classroom practices that are supported by research and evidence. It helps you look at terms within the field that you're looking at. And then lastly, there are evidence levels for each recommendation. So if you go to the next slide, this shows you the levels of evidence. So there's different levels for each of the recommendations, and there's drop-down bars within the practice guides that really explain what those levels of evidence mean and why they are ranked the way they are ranked. So again, these are all linked on our website, and we'll show you that in just a minute.
Yes, and on our website, we actually have put the videos right there. So if you are interested in seeing a video that's aligned to that particular recommendation, we have that all now on our website. So again, that's our brief PowerPoint presentation, because we want to spend the bulk of the time going through the actual website and taking you there and doing that web walk. So I'm going to stop sharing so that I can get out of this PowerPoint and get back to the website, if you'll let me. Okay.
Jesse, would you mind putting the link to FCRR's website in the main chat? I don't think I can only contact you and Jenny.
Absolutely. I will throw that in there right now.
If you want to follow along as Jenny's clicking or bookmark things as we're talking about it, that's really helpful to do, because this is a lot. It's a lot of resources, and you'll need to go back and spend some time looking at it. So we'll put that link in there for you.
Okay, so I am going to share my screen again, and let's
For those watching after the fact here, we're at fcrr.org.
Okay, perfect. We are at fcrr.org, correct? That's what you can see on my screen?
Yeah.
Yes, perfect. Then we're in the right spot. Okay, so this is where we are going to start. So first of all, welcome to the FCRR homepage. For anyone who's not as familiar with us, we have all of our about information, who we are, what we do, and all of the great things that we have going on here at the Florida Center for Reading Research at Florida State University. So you will see one thing I want to point out to you on the top bar. Do you see right here? It says FCRR Student Center Activities. It lives in a couple of places. Because people around the world use these activities, we wanted to make sure that it always had its predominant spot right on our search bar. So that is the same as if we're going to click elsewhere in our Student Center Activities. It's the same Student Center Activities. So I just wanted you to be aware that that is nothing different than what you're going to see. And that is everything from pre-K through grade 5 is there in our Student Center Activities. But we are going to start now at 4 educators. So this is, remember, where we're going to go back through everything that was on the PowerPoint, and then some is going to live on the 4 educators, 4 families, and 4 leaders. And we're going to touch on a couple other pieces as well. So let's here just look at this home landing page. You will notice that everything on the left-hand navigation menu also lives right here on this landing page. So if you just want to know a little bit about what it is before you click on it, well, this will tell you exactly what it is. Like example, the Reading Program Repository is designed in partnership with Florida Department of Education, is a one-stop shop with information on programs used in Florida to help educators select evidence-based programs. So that's just a little clip of what you will see when you click on, the Reading Repository. And here we have our additional resources and most importantly, our FCRR resource database, which we'll get into also. All of this lives on our left-hand navigation. So I'm going to start not at the top with essentials, but I'm going to go right here into the Student Center Activities. And just like if you had clicked at the top, it is the same. All of our activities are here from pre-K to grade 5. And here is that teacher resource guide. Now I'm going to go back to 4 educators. And I'm going to go right here to where it says FCRR Student Center Activities aligned to the Florida's best standards. So if you are a teacher in the state of Florida, then you would, and you're interested in aligning to the standards, then you would click right there. You also have a link here to the standards book, so that's a nice little shortcut for you. And let's pick for any grade. Let's say.
And I just want to add real quick,
Yeah,
Jenny,
go.
with the centers, as you can see, they're K-5, but our 4th and 5th grade centers, especially in the vocabulary and comprehension sections, are really great to use, one, across content areas. So if you're teaching science or social studies, a lot of them are blank templates that can be used with a variety of different texts. And then also, if you're in a like reading intervention class or an intensive reading class and you're in a middle school type setting, a lot of these centers can be scaffolded up or down. So if you are in secondary, I would encourage you to still look at the 4th and 5th grade type centers and see if there's anything you can pull to use in your classroom. So I just wanted to put that plug for our secondary friends if we have anybody here.
Absolutely. So, and I'm going to show you an example of a 4th grade one as well. So if we are here, let's take a look at how to use this filter tool. We literally click right here, and any of these, I clicked on 4th grade. So you'll see 4th, and then 5th also comes up because many of the 4th grade activities overlap with 5th grade as well. So you can click on any of these, and if there is an aligned activity, you hit apply, and those activities will come up. So if I was looking for ELA 4V11, and I'm a Florida educator, then I would be interested. All of these are aligned. That doesn't mean we don't have others that aren't as well, but again, these are the ones that did that direct alignment. And I also have already downloaded one. Can you see my screen that has the student center activity on it that says comprehension? Okay, great. So remember, we were following before that these activities, this is one little person here. So this is meant to be a single person activity. And C009, comprehension 009, is a more simple skill versus the higher numbers. So in this particular activity, we're looking to identify story elements. We have the materials that you might need, and the instructions is right here for the activity using a graphic organizer. And extensions and adaptations. This is that scaffolding up, or even possibly scaffolding down. You can certainly use your judgment in other ways to extend these activities. But here's an example of what Julie was talking about. These are graphic organizers that can be used in many different ways. So if you happen to like this graphic organizer, excuse me, settings, characters, problems, events, pardon me, then this might be something you want to use in a science activity or whatever you might like. If you are looking at this particular graphic organizer, that might not work for science, but nonetheless, the point is there. You are welcome to use them. Everything you need for the activity is here and in one space. You can literally click, download, print, and you are good to go. So that is an example of our student center activities and how they look and how this filter tool works. You could also click across the top at any of our vocabulary, comprehension, and all of those activities would come up by that grade level. So
and these do take time. The student center activities do take some time to print and create and laminate and cut and all of those pieces for classroom use. One thing that I used to do as a reading coach is I made a library of student center activities in my office. And so we did some sharing back and forth. So not every teacher was making the same, bingo activity. We had a copy of it and you would switch it in and out. So it was definitely like a sharing, but it went a lot further than one teacher trying to make all of the kindergarten standards. Because you'll probably only use 4 or so a week. And so it was a nice way to rotate and share with all of our elementary teachers.
That's right. Exactly right. So while we're here on our activities, I'm going to click on the teacher resource guide. And if you remember, no matter where you click from, whether it's the aligned activities, the regular student center activities, meaning standards agnostic, you will see the teacher resource guide at the bottom option of every single one of those tabs. And this is what it looks like. So when you get to the teacher resource guide, you will see all of these drop down arrows. When you click on them, this is specifically about systematic and explicit instruction. Remember, these children have to learn how to use these activities like they learn how to do anything else in the classroom. They have to be explicitly taught that skill so that they become functional activities for you to use in the centers. And we want center time in and of itself to be a positive, functional, good experience where all students are engaged, whether they're working at the teacher center or they're working at student centers. We want everybody engaged in a positive manner. So this talks about explicit instruction. And you'll see right here, we have an example of a second grade or third grade activity called Syllable Snake. And this teacher really does an excellent job in the 4 steps of explicit instruction, modeling and explaining the activity, providing that guided practice, supported application, and then independent practice at the end where these 2 adorable girls are doing the activity themselves. None of these are long videos. I'm no more than 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes tops. So this is something that can easily be gone through in one setting if you're just looking at that. Later on this exact same page, we also have videos for K1 and 4-5, because certainly a kindergarten activity and a kindergarten center should look different than a 5th grade center. Their abilities are quite different. So we would expect that to be a little bit different. We're looking about information about differentiated instruction is here. Reading centers is all here, and I'm just opening these for you to see, and then you'll have to go back in at your own leisure and peruse and take the time to really look at these videos and read some of the information, because it is a lot of information, but it is excellent to see how to set up reading centers. And I do want to go a little bit further down right here where we talk about setting up reading centers, and most importantly, right here where we talk about implementing reading centers. We have all of these drop downs. You can open any of these and you will see all of this information. But here is again where you will find that K1 and 4-5 live right here. So you can see what a full explicit instruction practice looks like for a 4th or 5th grade lesson as compared to a kindergarten lesson. And we also have managing transitions, using a organization, how this is a 5th grade or 4th grade or 5th grade teacher, an older elementary, how she organizes her centers so that the kids who are much more independent can just take them and go versus some of our younger friends. And then we have a kindergarten teacher talking about accountability and how even at the kindergarten age range, we can teach our children how to use these properly and be accountable for their time when they're not with the teacher.
And some of these resources, there's a lot of information here about centers, and maybe you're an expert at centers and you have them set up and you're going and everything's great. So you're coming to look at this to confirm that you're doing things correctly, maybe. But currently we have a lot of teachers that are coming to education out of field. And so I can remember my very first year of teaching, somebody said, just do reading centers. Well, I didn't know exactly what they meant. And so this is something that information that a reading coach or an administrator or a dean of curriculum could go through those first year teachers or teachers that are new to a grade level and walk through systematically, step by step, of what they need to think about and help them set those reading centers up. And so that's one way that we've seen educators across the state of Florida specifically use that resource and to walk some of their new-ish teachers maybe to the field or to the grade level, how to get the ball rolling with those student center activities.
Yes. So that gets us back to here. Remember, everything is going to come from 4 educators, 4 families, or 4 leaders. So if you ever get lost on the website, which you can because there's so much awesome information, go right back to that top bar and we'll get you back to where you need to be. So we've looked at the student center activities, the aligned and our regular student center activities are aligned to Florida's best standards activities, and we looked at the teacher resource guide. But now I want to take a deep dive into the essentials for reading success. And you will see on the left-hand menu, we have information on assessment, response to intervention, which is just, again, these are just one page of information with a video, an article, and actually 2 videos and an article is here. And then we have all of these things on the left-hand side. And I encourage you to do that and take some time to go through. But I really want to tag the components of reading resources, because the resources that are here is quite a bit. And this is what we get tons of questions about. So let's go here to phonics. I'm just going to pick phonics. When we're in phonics and we hit that downloadable arrow, I mean our down arrow, this is the first thing that you'll see is this downloadable PDF, which I have downloaded right here. Can y'all see that? It says phonics resources. Okay, excellent. I went ahead and opened it so it would have time to download. You will see all of these regular word types and all of these little arrows at the top here. Every one of these is a resource that you are welcome to have, to use. We encourage you to use it. These are examples of regular word types. Well, you know, it's not uncommon if you're an educator to say, oh, CVC words or CCVC words. Not everybody knows what that means and understands the jargon, but also you may want just examples of what that looks like or a definition of what that looks like. And if you scroll down, I get asked about this one, to show this one a lot, which is why I chose it. You'll see the consonant sound spelling patterns. You will see vowel spelling patterns. What a great resource to have if you're meeting with a parent and you're saying, hey, this is what we're working on in the classroom. And look, this is an example of what I mean when I say this particular sound. So these are all here for you, schwa sounds, consonant generalizations. Please download them, print them, use them, keep them in your folders, keep them in whatever you'd like to use, but these are excellent resources.
And these are great resources also to share with paras who may be doing some of our tier 2 interventions, or if they are, you know, credentialed to do tier 3 reading interventions. These are great resources to go over with them as well. It just helps everybody make sure that we're all on the same page with the sounds and how we're teaching things. So paras or tutors, or if you have tutoring programs and after school with college students or high school students, those are great resources for them to explore and look at as well.
And then of course, we also have 3 videos here. We have videos in all of these drop downs. And these videos are from the Institute for Education Sciences. And we have a little blurb here that tells you how long the video is and what is the grade level and what it's about. So like this is a group of K1 students engaging in a phonemes linked to letters activity. It's about 5 minutes. And then we have a 3rd grade video and a 1st grade video. So we have all kinds of information here, and these are great videos because it really puts that that practice in motion where you can see it and go, oh, I understand that now. So this is a great thing to see here. And right here is another hot topic. You will see these are progress records. And I have them for kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade. Like I said, 4th and 5th are forthcoming. I will show you this, but I also have one already downloaded on my desktop. When you download, the caveat is if you're going to download it and fill it, it needs to be in Adobe. And if you put it onto your desktop, like, no, that's not the one I wanted. Well, oh, I know why. I had it, it's on the desktop, which means I have to show it to you afterward because it's not linked to this page. But it will color code. You can put your names of your students across the top. And these are the standards. Well, at least for the state of Florida, this is the standard ELA 2F13 for phonics. And you would say, can my student do this? And these are the cut points according to, I'll scroll down a little bit so you can see the rest of the page, the FAST, which is the progress monitoring tool that we're using now in the state of Florida. We have been asked if they could use something similar with what other states may be using. Certainly, if you are using a different type of testing system for your state or your district and you want to use this type of a template, that's wonderful. You're welcome to follow the template and do it as you so wish, but this is aligned to the Florida standard. So that's why you see the percentiles the way they are and the FAST scores. We even have a glossary here of what the commonly found terms are in this standard. And it is here at the top. So when we're done doing this, I will get off this screen and I will share what one looks like that's already filled in. And you will also notice if you are doing reading groups and you need data, which you should be using to inform your groups and your instruction, well, those groups are fluid, and we would want to make sure that children that are working on similar levels and similar skills move in and out of those groups. So you might have a student, in this case, if they're urgent intervention, it's going to light up red. It will color code red. Intervention is yellow, on watch is blue, or at or above, meaning maybe they mastered that skill already, would be green. So you will be able to see who's on red, who's on blue, yellow, or green based on the cut points below. If you were to use it exactly as it's intended in this state, then you would be able to form your groups right there. And there's your data for response to intervention, where we would need multiple data points before we, at least 6 data points minimum before we really look at moving students in and out of tiers. So these are great tools for that. Okay, so this is where you find that. Then we have information to guide instruction and aligned instructional routines. So again, these are aligned to the state of Florida. That does not mean you cannot use these routines, which we encourage you to do so. I will show you what they look like. In this case, this standard is ELA 1F13A. The student can decode words using knowledge of spelling sound correspondences for common consonant digraphs, trigraphs, and blends. If your child or student can do that, that's wonderful. If they struggle with that and you're not sure, you need a lesson to teach, here you go. This is an explicit instruction, scripted routine where a teacher can model the task, explain, model, students and teachers practice. Then the student has independent practice. Here's scaffolding suggestions for any errors, adaptations, and you will even see a hyperlinked student center activity. So if you needed to have another activity to go along with this in a center, we recommend this activity right here would be one that you could link with this. So that is an example of our instructional routines, and we have them in different grades. So that I do want to show you other things on the website, which is why I'm not going to go through every single one of these, but you will see as you click down any of these arrows, the same layout exists, and you can just take your time and peruse through and see all of the different things that we have here. So that is just a scratching the surface, if you will, of the essentials for reading success and really focusing more on the resources. But certainly there is tons of information there, and we encourage you to take a look. As we just continue to go through this left-hand menu, the Florida K-12 Reading Endorsement, Florida Center for Reading Research developed one of 2 state-approved pathways to teach the Florida Reading Endorsement. So if you happen to be in the state of Florida and you are interested in finding out more about our pathway, you can check with your district reading contact and see if your district has folks that have been trained to deliver this model. If they have, then it is most likely going to be through your district's professional development. So that is how you would find that information. Our site houses the materials, but they are taught and delivered through the individual districts if they have chosen to use that pathway and if they've been trained by our staff to do so. So that is here. The reading program repository, like we talked about before, is a bit of a one-stop shop to learn about different programs, reading programs that are being used throughout the state of Florida. We have information here about how to understand evidence and what that looks like. We even have some videos from Every Student Succeeds Act, ESSA, as well as What Works Clearinghouse, and what to do if you don't see your program here. And let me say, just because a program is not here doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. It just means that there may not have been studies done so far on that program. But these are the ones that we have found evidence for through our methodologists through just a very big laundry list of programs that our different districts are using throughout the state. We don't endorse one more than another. This is just a place for you to take a look and learn more about these programs. If you do see a program that sounds familiar to you, or even if you're not in the state of Florida and you go, oh, I've heard of Achieve 3000, or I've heard of early intervention, or whatever it may be, you're welcome to just click on this for a little bit more information. And if you want the whole story, you're welcome to click on read more, and that'll take you literally to the research. And it'll take you to the evidence and everything you want to know about this, which really does make us as educators good consumers of the programs and the research that we're using, because we want to know if it works for kids. So that's what's here.
Yeah, with
Go
the
ahead,
reading
Julie.
repository, it's nice if you are in the market looking for a new program specifically for a certain subgroup of students. It'll tell you exactly how and who that program is most effective for. I also think it's an interesting resource to help us when we're looking at our data. If we are not seeing the results that we want to see in the classroom and we're using Achieve 3000, it's nice to be able to go into this repository and see exactly how this program was supposed to be used. If it says 3 days a week for 20 minutes and we're using it 1 day a week for 60 minutes, that may not be as effective. And so it's a great tool to be able to see exactly how it's supposed to be done, who it's supposed to be done with, to get the most effective results. So that's a great resource to go in and explore and kind of see how your teaching practices are aligning with what the recommendations are.
Yes. And then just a couple more things on this site, and I'm going to pop us over to the 4 families and 4 leaders just to touch on a couple things that we haven't already looked at that we are seeing people are using quite frequently. We have information on K-3 reading tutors here. Julie, you can touch on this if you like.
Sure. So the K-3 Reading Tutors tab was developed in response to a grant that was part of the ESSA's funds a couple years ago. And so this site is directed towards that grant. However, there are lots of resources for developing an effective tutoring program. And so you'll see a plethora of linked resources here. There's also 2 webinars, that's the top 2 circles, developing an effective tutoring program, and a train the trainer, kind of things that you would want to go over with your tutors if that was something that you were implementing for the first time.
Absolutely. And then just one more thing that we have on here that also lives on our 4 leaders. And you'll notice that, folks, as you click through 4 educators, 4 families, and 4 leaders, especially on the educators and the leaders page, you're going to see some overlap. And that's because there should be. We all work together, for the betterment of our students. And some things are maybe more leader-based, some things are more educator-based. But overall, there's nothing on the sites that one group can't see versus the other, and we encourage that. The School Leaders Literacy Walkthrough tool, this is also a tool that is aligned to the Florida Best Standards. There is a version also in our additional resources that is not aligned to the Florida standards. That's through the REL, the Research Education Laboratory Southeast. This tool was designed after that tool. It was modeled after that tool, but it is the standards from grades K to 12, as well as an overview tool for grades K-5 and then one for 6-12. And this walkthrough is non-evaluative. This is to help build literacy capacity in our buildings and in our schools and across our districts to teach the standards and teach our literacy practices. So that is what it is for. And when it says school leaders literacy walkthrough, those leaders could look like different folks. It doesn't have to be administrators. It could be a reading coach, a grade chair. It could be lots of folks who fill in that leadership role when we're looking at building capacity in literacy. And that's what we're doing. Then we have our additional resources and our FCRR resource database. So our additional resources, and again, you will see the same thing on 4 families or 4 leaders. We have early learning, we have foundational skills grades K-3, upper elementary, learners with reading disabilities and dyslexia, English language learners, reading coaches, and etc. So if we want to go here to foundational skills and we open any of these tabs, there is a whole lot of additional resources. Some are from us, some are from other institutions that are absolutely fabulous, like the National Center on Improving Literacy, or the REL, Research Education Laboratory, or the Institute for Education Sciences, or Reading Rockets, or any of these amazing sites. We have all of that included here. So we have lots of our excellent partners in literacy instruction and literacy research here. Lastly, what I want to show you, and then I'm going to click us over, is our FCRR resource database. This is for you to use this database to enhance your knowledge in any way you want. And if you look here, you'll see all kinds of things like blogs or websites or documents or research studies or activities or infographics or videos, anything that you may be interested in on a particular topic or a particular practitioners or students or families, or maybe it came from a different project that you're interested in. All of that is here, or you can scroll by level like pre-kindergarten, elementary, middle, high, etc. And you can just take a look at your own leisure and go through all of this. There is so much. It's best if you narrow it down a little bit, but you are in for a treat, because there's something for everyone to just really see what it is that you're interested in. If it's dyslexia, if it's data management, there's so much stuff here. And we encourage you to take some time and just see what it is that interests you in the world of reading research and take a deeper dive. So before we run out of time, maybe in the next 15 minutes or so, I'm going to bump us over here to For Families. Now, we are in the process, again, of building out these websites. But starting here, you will see that At Home with FCRR YouTube channel right here at the top left corner, left-hand navigation, top corner, or right smack in the middle of your screen. You can pick either one. We'll do At Home, and we'll click on this so you can see what this looks like. But my goodness, it is well over 50 plus different activities. This really came about during COVID. When folks went home, and it was a new world when we all were sent home, and now we need to figure out things that we're going to be doing academically with our students at home. And this is just a fabulous resource. Go ahead and scroll through at your leisure and find whatever activity interests you and see how some folks are doing it at their house. And then maybe when you have a literacy night at your school or in your district or in wherever you may be, if you have a literacy night, you can say, hey, this is something, we're going to watch this video and we're going to make this activity in the classroom, and we're going to provide you some resources, if it's some extra markers or magazines or whatever it may be, to cut those things out with or to look at, or whatever the activity requires, or even if it's just printing the pages for the families to be able to use at home. It's a great make and take at home. And it's a great opportunity to share that information from the classroom into the home and say, this is a way that we can really enhance these skills that we're working on in the classroom. So that is an excellent resource right there. And people have been super supportive of it. Julie, did you want to tag anything on that?
Sorry, I was actually busy answering questions.
Oh,
so that
okay, good.
you are
Well, then
doing a great job.
I'll take that as you're good. So along this website, I want to look at, jump down to 2, and then I'll come back. Maya's Book Nook is another, oops, I'm on the website, is another fabulous resource for anyone who'd like to use it. You may recognize the lady on the front is Dr. Lakeisha Johnson. She's one of our faculty here at Florida State and also at Florida Center for Reading Research. And this is her daughter is Maya. And so Maya is the inspiration behind Maya's Book Nook. But you will see
Dr. Johnson also did a fantastic presentation for the Reading League Florida about a year ago. So check out that on the Reading League Florida's YouTube. I'll throw a quick plug there.
Yes, good. Bringing it all home. So you could take your time to learn more about Maya's Book Nook, but what's most important, or well, not most important, in my mind, what we get asked about the most is right here these beyond the book guides. Because when we tell our families, your child has homework every night, it's reading for 20 minutes. Well, okay, but sometimes folks may need a little assistance. Oops, let me raise this, with what to ask their children or their child. Or maybe, I don't know, I've never read this book before with my child, and what can I be expected to learn? So this little book is about a little girl learning to walk, climb, and study the earth from her friends who are mainly animals. So this is all kinds of great information about before reading the story, things to talk about, who are your friends, and what are some things that you learn from your friends, and then some target vocabulary to look for in the story, and then also during the story, things to look at and look for, and like making predictions about the story or providing definitions. And then after the reading, things we can do with our children at home, like using a piece of paper and art supplies, draw a picture of you and your friends, or have your child retell the story in their own words. So Dr. Johnson's also a speech language pathologist, so all of this is great information also coming from that lens of language development. And then there's also example questions to ask. These beyond the book guides are free. This website is free. These materials are here for you. None of the books, if you were on this website and you wanted to purchase a book, that would be different. But if you are working in a district and you are reading a particular book in your classroom, and it happens to be one that she might have a beyond the book guide for, that's another great way to involve parents in that process. We also in Tallahassee have created Book Nook bundles that have gone out to the 7 library branches here in Tallahassee. So if you are local to Tallahassee and you're hearing this call or you're watching this recording, we encourage you to go over to any of the 7 branches of the Leon County Library System and take a look at some of our Book Nook bundles. So those are for folks to literally check out and do with their children at home. We also have other resources here. The Uncanny Chronicles is fabulous. This is a graphic novel. I'll click on it and see if it'll take me to it. It's right here. But these are graphic novels about a beautiful little girl named Kayla. And Kayla is the main character in this story. And Kayla struggles with her reading. She is a student that does have reading disabilities or dyslexia and does struggle. So one of the interesting things is that this can be read to the children. So if you click on this and you go into the Kids Zone for the National Center on Improving Literacy, then you can click on these and it'll read the story. It's narrated, so it can read it to the child. But again, these are graphic novels and they're just excellent resources. Everything on NCIL, National Center for Improving Literacy, is just wonderful, especially our areas in the Kids Zone are super fun. So if you weren't familiar with that resource, then hopefully that's something, couple new things you may have learned today. We also have supporting your child's reading at home. These are, as well as supporting young English learners at home. These are some of those toolkits, if you will.
Yeah, and a lot of the information in these toolkits can be overwhelming. If you were to send this entire link home to parents, they would immediately delete it. This is probably too much to send home, but this is a great opportunity to pull snippets out and send weekly emails, or maybe if you have a social media site with your school, to put up some tips for new kindergarten parents or new first graders. So having something, maybe a little blip or something each week for parents, a parent tip of the week, is a great way to kind of break down these resources into like digestible bites for parents. I'm an educator, and I got very overwhelmed by the first day of school information packet that was sent home. And I've done that myself. So I think any way that we can create, those digestible bites for parents will definitely go a lot further than sending just one giant document home for them to look at.
Absolutely.
Same with the resources. If you want parents to look at the Uncanny Chronicles, that might be another thing. Send the resource home one at a time so they can see it and work through it, and then, do that weekly.
Yes, and like there are other things here as well. I encourage you to take a look at all of these resources. Let me pop over real quickly to 4 leaders, because I want to be sure that you see right here at the very top of the screen where it says IES What Works Clearinghouse Practice Guides. And just like Julie was talking about in our PowerPoint, we have several of the practice guides right here at the top, which you could click on and it would take you to it. So if you click on these Preparing Young Children for School, or let's just pick foundational skills right here. If you were to click on it, it would take you to the practice guide, or you can open this arrow. This is the recommendations that are on the practice guide. And what we went ahead and did with Dr. Marcia Kasanovich was super helpful in getting all of this lined up. So a shout out to her. She went through and watched all of these videos. We've all seen them, but she really aligned them for us to these recommendations. So now for our leaders or our instructional coaches or anyone who's interested, if you want to see an example of what this looks like in the classroom, teaching students academic language skills, including the use of inferential and narrative language and vocabulary knowledge. If you want to see a real life and real-time example, here are 2 videos, both 5 minutes and 24 seconds through the Institute of Education Sciences about these exact topics. Same here, how to develop awareness of the segments of sounds in speech and how they link to letters. There's videos for all of these. If you don't see a video there, it's because we just couldn't find one, and we will work on getting you some. That's why we said these are it's a living, working website, and it's frequently changing. So if we record a video, or if we're able to get a video that matches something that didn't have a video before, we will put it on up. But this is just an example of how you can take a look at these recommendations and see what this looks like in practice. So this is a bit of a one-stop shop. And if you like what you see and you want to implement this practice guide, we certainly encourage you to click on any of these practice guides and really take that deeper dive into it. But to be able to see the recommendations in practice is really great. So that is something else that we have here. And you can also use any of these videos if you're doing a coaching session or anything where you say, oh, wow, I would love to use that video. Well, now you know that these videos are here. So there's information there. The literacy walkthrough tool is also here. The reading repository, evidence for reading, essentials for reading success is here. The tutoring piece, additional resources, and FCRR database are all the same as we've already shown you. We have information, if you are in the state of Florida, about the Florida practice profiles, which are specific to our state, but certainly it just gives us information about how the state defines explicit instruction. And again, our videos for now exist in more of the elementary space, but we are working to get some more videos in the near future, hopefully up in the secondary space of 6 to 12. So we'll be able to add some things there as well. And then lastly, we have 2 things on here: the Literacy and Leadership Professional Development Series and the Florida Literacy Coach Endorsement. So the Literacy Coach Endorsement, just like I showed you before about the reading endorsement, this is another pathway that we have developed for folks to be able to receive a literacy coach credential or endorsement on their certificate. Again, we house the material, but the trainings are done through the state and through the districts. Julie, did you want to chime in on the coach endorsement?
Yeah, so the literacy coach endorsement was rolled out last June, a year ago, not this past one. And we trained hundreds of literacy coaches across the state of Florida and had a really positive response to the program. In Florida specifically, they are getting ready to roll out another cohort for our literacy coaches. And that information will be shared directly with our district reading contacts. So if that is something that you know that you're interested in, you have to be a current reading coach. You have to be currently endorsed in reading to get the coach endorsement. But touch base with your district reading contact. They will be the ones that receive the information and the sign up. but it was a great experience for all our reading coaches. And then the other program was the Literacy and Leadership Professional Development Series. And that worked specifically with our administrators, our principals, and our assistant principals to really look at root causes and student success and school success. And so the series starts off with just a brief overview of what high quality reading instruction looks like, and then goes into a deep dive of creating logic models and goals for school sites specifically. And so we just ran 2 cohorts starting in January. We just finished up with all of those wonderful principals and leaders. They are working on, I say they, the Department of Education and FCRR are working on rolling out another cohort for literacy and leadership. So again, information will be filtered through the department, the district reading contacts. And so if that is you and you're a principal or an assistant principal, get in touch with your district reading contact to learn more about that opportunity. But both great programs. I can say with the literacy coach endorsement, the Department of Education, the Just Read Florida office, trained several, I think it was 110 people across the state to be train the trainers. So they're developing a train the trainer model to roll out to help, build that capacity across the state.
Awesome. Well, that sort of gets us, I think we've touched on most of where to find things on our website. Jesse, was there any particular questions that we can deep dive into, or you're welcome to email us and we can speak with you or email you if there's something specific? I can stop sharing.
No, there were a lot of questions around receiving copies of the recording, kind of logistics questions that Dr. Baisden was very prompt in answering. But right now, it does not appear like we have Q&A questions in the Q&A. You did a fantastic job and a very thorough job of exploring all these resources. I mean, and just an absolute treasure trove of things that that I've been exploring for many years and continue to find new little diamonds here and there, things that I can send to a parent in the course of my job, a lesson plan that I can share with a teacher. These things are just, it takes time to go through, but it is so worth the time to move through these things. So, Florida Center for Reading Research, you continue to be a national and international leader in paving the way and disseminating the science of reading. And so, thank you so much for doing what you're doing and continuing to refine these.
You're very, very welcome. And we're super excited to be able to share it, because we don't want it just living on our computers. We need it out into your computers so that you all know of these amazing resources and databases and all sorts of things that are out there. And then you can go and spread the word of where you found it and get more and more folks. I did forget to mention one thing, and since we're still,
I think we were about to say the same thing. Social media
on the front homepage of FCRR, if you just scroll to the bottom, there is a little box to sign up for our newsletters and any of our social media. So you can follow us on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, and you can sign up for our newsletters, which come out frequently or monthly, I would say. So there's also that way. Follow us in that capacity, so you can always know if there's something new or an article or anything. It's going to come out there, and we'll put it out into the public. So go to it's right there on the front homepage. Just scroll down to the bottom, and it'll say contact us and follow us. And please follow us on social media and get on our newsletter so that you can stay in the know.
I'll second that. If you're on Twitter, if you're on Facebook, if you're brave enough to be on those on social media, FCRR is a very high quality follow. Always posting really excellent articles and resources and things that I learn something every week from the FCRR social media accounts. So that's fantastic.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having us. We've enjoyed ourselves and loved getting to share all of this with you. And if anyone has any other questions, Jesse, you please send them my email and have them reach out to me directly or to Julie. And
Yeah, we put our
we will make
emails
sure.
in the chat where I know that when you go back to your desk or you start the day tomorrow, a lot of this will, maybe you weren't sure where things are, but we're easily accessible. So please reach out and ask your questions. We want to help teachers and administrators be successful in their classroom. So anything we can do to support that, please feel free to reach out. We're happy to help.
Absolutely. So Dr. Baisden, Dr. Gans, thank you so much.